Hello there everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be looking into the champion Gragas. I will try to show you as many things as I can in the smallest time as possible. We will start from the most simple stuff, like explaining his abilities, and gradually go up the advanced tips and tricks. I hope that this guide will help both new players to understand the basics and start off with this champion, as well as the more advanced players to master the champion and learn some extra tips and tricks. To make it a bit easier for you, I will divide each video in parts, beginner, intermediate and advanced, which you will be able to see on the top right of the video, and if you feel like you need to skip to another section, just do. So let's start off with the beginner section. Here we'll be discussing about the generic information of this champion, like what lanes can this champion go to, why you should pick or not pick this champion, what does his kit look like. Let's start off with the first question, where can this champion go? Well, Gragas is seen mostly on jungle because both his kit and playstyle fits a jungler's one, which makes him survive there easier. He's also seen rarely as a mid and top laner, and there is a very small amount of people that play Gragas as a support. I'm one of those people, but only for fun and in normals. But you may be asking yourself, why this champion? Well, Gragas has a huge list of pros as well as cons. Here's why you should pick him. He can adapt with different playstyles, assassin or tanky. You can make him deal tons of damage, or he can deal good amount of damage with some extra stain, or he can even be a super tank. His ultimate is a game changer. You can use it to engage, disengage, split or group the enemies. He can easily adapt on almost every teamfight situation. He has a great low cooldown gap closure. He has 3 amazing crowd control abilities. He has awesome wave clear. He has a high skill cap and he's played on almost every elo. And if I did not already mention it, he's really fun to play. Unfortunately though, he's not everyone's choice because he's tough to master. Failing some of his abilities can lead to a complete failure of a team fight or solo fight. Some of his abilities can easily be blocked or dodged. One of his abilities takes a second charge, which means for that second you're useless. He usually needs to use his gap closure to burst down the enemies and he's left without an escape tactic. A lot of his combos require a great sense of timing, which unfortunately a lot of lower elo players tend to forget about. And to finish off with the beginner section, what does his kit look like? His passive instantly regenerates 4% of his max HP whenever he gets an ability. This effect is on an 8-second cooldown. His Q is called Barrel Roll. Gragas throws a cask to a target location that will explode if activated or if 4 seconds pass, dealing damage and slowing his targets. This damage increases as the cask ferments, up to 150% over 2 seconds. His W is called Drunken Rage. Activating it will disable your ability to cast or attack for 0.75 seconds, gaining damage reduction for 2.5 seconds. Upon finishing the animation though, your next basic attack will deal extra damage both on the target as well as in a small 250 unit radius area. I should point out that this ability also scales up depending on the enemy's max health, so it's a great anti-tank option. His E is called Body Slam. Gragas charges forward, colliding with the first enemy unit, dealing damage and stunning the enemy unit for 1 second. If Gragas collides with a unit while body slamming, the cooldown of this ability is reduced by 3 seconds. His R is called Explosive Cask. Gragas throws a cask to a target location, dealing damage to all units on impact and knocking them back. Alright, now let's move to the intermediate section. Here we will talk about skill sequence, runes and masteries, summoner spells, and the item builds. Your skill sequence depends on the item build that you have and the enemies you are matched up against. Usually, you must first your R, then Q, then W, then E. If you are going the full AP assassin and the enemies are quite squeezy, you can follow this path. Max R, then Q, then E, then W. This will deal some extra burst early. Again though, the second skill sequence is only for enemies that are not tanky and only if you are going an assassin. Now let's talk about runes and masteries. I have composed a few examples that can get you started with. These fit the generic playstyle of almost all players. These runes and masters are made to complement Gragas' abilities and playstyle so he can work more efficient. Although, after playing a few games, if you feel like you need to adjust a few things in runes and masters, feel free to do it. After all, the champion needs to fit your playstyle and not the opposite. If you're done adjusting the runes and masteries, let's continue with the summoner spells. One thing is certain, you will need flash on any lane. It is not impossible to play without it, but if you do, you will lose the ability to do some great combos and an extra escape method. If you choose to play Gragas as a jungler, I'm sure that you know what the next spell is. Of course, it's Smite, since it is a must-have for any jungler without second ideas. If you choose to play him as a top or mid laner though, you can choose between Ignite and Teleport, whichever suits you best. I would recommend Teleport for both mid and top, so you can teleport at 10 times in any lane to assist, to get a kill or to even save a tower. And lastly, as support, you will require Exhaust. I feel like all the other spells, like Cleanse and Ghost, are a no-no situation, while Barrier and Heal are situational, but usually should not be used. You might be wondering though, what should I build to this fat man? Build paths always change depending on the enemies that you have. There are though some items that I feel every Gragas will require to purchase regardless the enemy champion. So I'll talk about these items as well as give you some example build paths that you can use on your games. If you choose to play Gragas as an assassin, you should rush Lich Bane as first item. If you would prefer though to have some extra sustain, you should rush first Red of Ages, then continue with your choice of your boots and then Lich Bane. If you choose though to play Gragas a bit tanky, you should go for Iceborne Gauntlet as first item, and remember to include somewhere in your build as the Abyssal Scepter. Finally, if you choose to go full tank, just take as primary the Iceborne Gauntlet, and then the rest defensive items are of your choice. For jungle specifically, you should always go for Tracker's Knife with Runic Echoes, the AP jungle item that is, unless if you want to be a super tank, which then means that you need to go with Tracker's Knife and Cider Pool. Now let's move to our last section, Advanced. Here we will talk about laning phases, combos, teamfight information, other general tips, counter playmates and people who get countered by Gragas. Alright, let's begin with lane phases. Instead of splitting the game in 3 phases, early, mid and late game, for Gragas we will talk about pre-6 and after 6. If you are a top laner or a mid laner, until you reach level 6 you should play it safe. Since you attack from a close range, you can easily be abused and killed before level 6. That doesn't mean though that you cannot deal damage or be a threat to the enemy. Try farming as much as you can. You can also use your Q ability to both farm and damage the enemy at the same time. If he gets poked a lot by your Q ability, you can easily kill him. Your early burst amount is very high, so make sure to punish people who fail to abuse you. As a jungler, your pre-6 is just a bit weaker than your after 6 level. You can be a great threat since you have great mobility, great burst damage and 2 crowd control abilities as early as level 3, so make sure you're going to use that on your advantage with some early ganks. As a support though, you should play it safe, with the maximum safety you can. If you get caught on bot early, it will be hard to come back. Gragas cannot easily handle 2 people at pre-6 level. When you reach though the level 6, you will have a new window of opportunity. Basically, at level 6 you can do amazing combos that can even insta-kill an enemy if he's not careful. As a topper, midder or support, you can throw an enemy inside the turret while throwing another enemy such as the enemy jungler or support far away so they cannot help. As a jungler though, you can throw enemies outside of their turrets while you're ganking, or maybe kill someone while he's backing with low HP. I'm sure though that you want to know some available combos that you can do. Some are easy and simple to execute, while others require some time to learn. We'll start with the easy ones. Let's call this the burst combo. It's as simple as charging your W, then throwing Q, and then charging into the enemy with your E. You throw first your Q to deal some extra damage while it's charging. Although you should never do Q, then E, and then W, since you will be silenced for a few seconds, giving the chance to your enemy to flash away or CC you. Moving on to some harder combos. You can throw your Q into a targeted location where the enemy won't expect to be hit by it. A good location like that would be on a minion wave. Once he gets a bit distracted or off position, you can then throw your R, throwing him inside your previously thrown Q, dealing a great amount of damage. The plus side of this risky move is that your Q will have time to stack its extra damage, so you can deal up to 150% extra damage than you would normally do. And finally, let's move to some of the rarest and hardest combos that you can do in the game with Gragas. It may seem easy though, but if you consider that every champion will try to avoid being hit by your R at any cost, you can easily see how hard this part can get with this combo. Similar to the previously shown combo, you will do exactly the same thing, but at this time you will stand them in the air, locking them into place with your Q and leaving them with no chance to escape this burst combo. So this combo is actually a combination of all the previous combos that we saw. You don't though need to do every single combo in each game, but it is good to know how to execute most of them, so you can be covered in a lot of situations. Also, you may notice that every combo here is similar. That's because they surround the same idea. The awesome part though is how you're going to implement it. For example, you can use your combo in a teamfight to insta-kill the ADC while making your enemies disengage and more. If you get the idea, you can see how complex a combo can become. Now, let's move on to the tips and tricks section. I will throw you some random tips about Gragas which you can use at any time in game for maximum efficiency. First of all, your Q's cooldown starts from the point that you throw it. That means that leaving it up to deal the extra damage won't delay your next Q. Always try to keep an eye on your passive. You can use it to regen a great amount of HP on jungle as well as on other lanes. Try to charge up your W before engage. Even though that makes it obvious for the enemy that you are going to engage, trust me, you don't want to silence yourself while fighting. It's better to do it a split second before engaging. Also, ensure that you will spam this ability since it will reduce the damage you take. Your flash can be used directly with your E to extend or redirect its path. You can use your E ability to pass through most of the walls. Try to avoid being near an enemy minion while casting your E, since it can be easily blocked. Your R can also be casted while you're in. This technique will hide your ultimate's animation and probably confuse the enemies. If you're jungling, to ensure faster clear times, throw your Q, charge your W, do a basic attack so the monsters can group up to you, then use your E to stun them, and finally explode the casket when it's blinking red. Remember that if an enemy is slightly outside of your Q, you can body slam them and knock them back in. And to close off with this section, let's talk about the most important counters, playmates, and people who get countered by Gragas. Gragas can easily be countered by a few people, such as Yasuo, since Gragas can engage easily at him, while Yasuo can escape every attempt of engage with an ease. Yasuo can't also be stopped while ulting, so Gragas is kinda useless there. Fizz because he can simply escape all of the skill shots and engages with an ease. Lee Sin. There is some debate about this. There are people who believe that Lee Sin is a counter of Gragas because of his ability to keep him back while Gragas is engaging. In my opinion though, Gragas and Lee Sin is a fair matchup, since Gragas can counter Lee Sin's Q with a lot of ways. Vayne, your knockback can counter almost every engage that you do. Gragas works well though with Orianna, Yasuo, Malphite and Sejuani because of the great combos that they can do with any of these champions or all together. Finally, he can counter a lot of people such as Orianna, Xerath, Karthus, Lux, since he can dash out of their ult or even cancel them. Fiddlesticks, because he can both cancel Fiddlesticks' ult as well as throw him away if he manages to ult. And Malphite or similar tanks, since Gragas' W ability deals damage depending on the max enemy's health. And that is it, you have now officially gained your first knowledge or some extra knowledge about Gragas. Before you leave though, I'd like to say that at the end of this video, after the outro, there will be a few extra seconds of nothingness. If for any reason I missed something, or if I found out something new about this champion, I will be adding this information at the end. So if you feel like I missed something, tell me in the comments below, so I can inform everyone else at the end of this video. Thank you for watching this video, and thanks everyone that made this video possible, like my friends that were the laboratory animals of this guide, random internet people who wrote guides or made sick videos and sick plays that allowed me to group as much information as I could into one place, and finally the League of Legends developers for releasing this awesome champion. If you survived though through this video and stayed up all the way to here, make sure to punch the like button, and if you haven't already, maybe the subscribe button. You can't believe how much time this whole video took me to make. Your feedback with comments, likes and subscriptions could make my day a bit better, since it will make me realize I was able to help someone out with this video. It took me more than 16 hours to compose this video, create the clips, make the voiceovers, read the scripts and of course find as much information as possible to compose in a meaningful video. So I have to officially say I'm exhausted and good night everyone. I will see you soon. PS, I might temporarily stop making videos since if you have noticed my microphone is having a few issues. So, until I get a new one for better quality or fix this one, I won't be able to publish such videos.